In the quiet village of Amachala, there lived a woman named Nkem. She was kind, hardworking, and known for her beauty, but there was one thing that set her apart. Nkem was barren. For many years, she had prayed and hoped for a child, but the gods had not blessed her with one. In her village, children were seen as a gift, and a woman's worth was often tied to her ability to bear them. Her husband, Chike, had once been a loving man, but as the years passed and no children came, his heart hardened. He began to mistreat Nkem, blaming her for their childless home. He spoke harsh words to her, called her names, and even threatened to take another wife. The villagers, too, whispered behind Nkem's back, some openly mocking her. Women avoided her, thinking she was cursed, and men pitied her. But through it all, Nkem remained strong. She continued to perform her duties with grace, caring for her home and showing kindness to others. Though her heart ached, she never lost hope that one day, things would change. As time went on, Nkem's situation worsened. Chike's cruelty increased, and he often left her to fend for herself. He stopped providing for their household, spending his time with other women. The villagers began to treat Nkem like an outcast. At the market, people refused to sell her goods, and in the village meetings, she was ignored. Even the children in the village laughed at her when she passed by. "There goes the woman who cannot have a child," they would shout. Nkem tried her best to remain strong, but the loneliness weighed heavily on her. One day, Chike gathered the elders and told them he wanted to marry another woman, one who could give him the children he desired. Nkem's heart broke, but she kept her tears inside. The elders agreed with Chike, and it seemed as though her life would soon be filled with even more sorrow. But little did anyone know that fate was about to turn in Nkem's favor. One evening, as Nkem sat by the river, washing clothes and reflecting on her troubles, a stranger approached her. The woman was old, with wise eyes that seemed to see right through Nkem's pain. She sat beside Nkem and spoke softly, "Why do you cry, my daughter?" Nkem, startled, wiped her tears and explained her troubles to the stranger. The old woman listened carefully, nodding as Nkem spoke of her husband's cruelty and the village's scorn. When Nkem finished, the stranger smiled. "Do not weep, for your sorrow will soon end," the old woman said. "You are destined for greatness, Nkem. The gods have seen your suffering, and they will bless you. But remember, your fortune will come not in the way you expect. It will not be through a child, but through something far greater." Before Nkem could ask more, the old woman stood and disappeared into the forest. Nkem sat there, stunned by the encounter. But for the first time in years, a spark of hope flickered in her heart. Not long after the stranger's visit, the village of Amachala was struck by a terrible drought. The rains stopped, the rivers dried up, and the crops withered in the fields. The people of the village, who had once been proud and prosperous, now faced hunger and hardship. Chike and the other men tried to find solutions, but nothing worked. The village elders performed rituals, but the rains did not come. As the drought worsened, the people grew desperate. They began to remember Nkem, the woman they had mistreated and cast aside. Some villagers whispered that she might have been blessed by the gods after all, while others wondered if her suffering had brought this curse upon them. One night, the village elders called for a meeting. The entire village gathered, and Chike, ashamed of how he had treated his wife, stood before the people. "We need help," he said. "Perhaps Nkem, who has always been patient and kind, can speak to the gods on our behalf. The next morning, the elders came to Nkem's home. Chike, humbled by the village's crisis, begged her for forgiveness. He asked her to come before the gods and pray for the village, hoping that her pure heart would bring back the rains. Though Nkem had suffered greatly, she held no anger in her heart. She agreed to help. With the entire village watching, Nkem walked to the sacred shrine in the forest. There, she knelt and offered a humble prayer to the gods. She did not ask for revenge or for riches. Instead, she prayed for her people. That the drought would end and the land would be fruitful once more. As Nkem finished her prayer, a miracle occurred. Dark clouds began to gather in the sky, and soon, rain began to fall. The villagers, who had watched in awe, danced in the rain, overjoyed that their suffering had ended. From that day forward, the people of Amachala began to see Nkem differently. They no longer mocked or mistreated her. Instead, they honored her, recognizing her strength, kindness, and connection to the gods. After the rains returned, the village prospered once again. Nkem, once scorned, became the most respected woman in Amachala. People came to her for advice, and the village elders sought her counsel in important matters. Even Chike, filled with regret, begged for her forgiveness and worked to restore their marriage. Nkem's life had changed completely, not because she had borne children, but because she had shown strength in the face of adversity. She had been patient, kind, and forgiving, even when the world had turned against her. Her story became a lesson to the village. That true greatness does not come from what others see on the surface, but from the heart within. In time, Nkem's name became known far beyond the borders of Amachala. People from other villages came to hear her wisdom, and she was celebrated as a woman of great fortune, not because of wealth or power, but because of the goodness that flowed from her heart. And so, the woman who had once been mistreated by her husband and scorned by the village became a beacon of hope and a reminder that, with faith and perseverance, fortune will always smile in its own time. To this day, the story of Nkem is told to young girls in Amachala and beyond. Mothers share it with their daughters, reminding them that true strength lies not in what others say or do, but in the kindness, patience, and love they carry within their hearts. For Nkem's story is a tale of hope, a reminder that no matter how dark life may seem, fortune can always find those who remain true to themselves.